Chapter 11, Rolling Out the Purple Carpet. The first part of the boys' plan was keeping the spectators off the hill, and it wasn't going to be easy. As Kenny and his father approached the anxious gathering, they realized the group was looking to stake out prime seats for tomorrow's battle. There were so many townsfolk present. They seemed like they were everywhere, illuminating the entire hillside with their lanterns and torches. Kenny stopped just short of the crowd. I don't know if this is going to work. His father knelt down, put his hand on the boy's shoulder, and looked into his son's eyes. "Don't you worry, kid," he said. "If there's one thing I know how to do, it's herding sheep." He held up his lantern and addressed the crowd. "Ho there, what's this about?" "We're here to see the dragon slaying tomorrow," someone shouted. "Ain't no devil dragon on my land," Kenny's father replied, pulling up a stalk of grass and putting it in his mouth. "So you all best get on." "You're dead wrong, Farmer Rabbit," said a gruff voice. The crowds parted, and a blurry fellow, Porky's father, stepped up. "Old Pop's possum see him here the other day drinking in the creek. Old Pops told me he pulled a catfish out of the creek the size of my prize ewe. If you ask me, I think he's the one drinking at the creek," he replied. The crowd laughed. Porky's father did not. "Well, your boy said he's seen this thing before, told all the kids at school about it." He pointed at Kenny. "What do you say about that?" Kenny's father turned and looked toward his son. "Kenneth, what's this all about? You know something about dragons you aren't telling me?" This was Kenny's cue. "Yes, sir. I was reading that King's Royal Bestiary about all the monsters. It said that though dragons are cold-blooded, they usually hunt at night. It also mentioned that they are often attracted to a bright light, like a moth, an enormous, flying, bloodthirsty, fire-breathing moth. That did it." The crowd began murmuring among themselves. "Best to stay in tonight," he heard one fellow said. "It's getting late," he heard another one add. "Perhaps we should douse these lanterns," someone said from the back of the group. Kenny's father eyed Porky's prickly dad for some time, calmly chewing on his grass stalk. Finally, the rabble-rouser broke the stare and announced, "All right, let's head back to town." He put his hand on his son's shoulders and both turned to go. "We'll meet up here tomorrow at dawn, and then," he looked back at Kenny, "ain't nobody gonna stop us from seeing this showdown." Kenny exhaled as he and his father turned back toward the farm. "You see, son," his dad said, putting his arm around Kenny's shoulders, "there's always a pecking order. You just find out who the leader is, spook 'em into going where you want 'em to, and the rest of the flock will follow." Kenny looked up at his dad as they walked back home. In the warm lantern light, he seemed wise now, like Arthur's Merlin, and Kenny realized that his father's wisdom was gained from real experiences and not something he read about in a book. They both returned to a very busy household. Everyone was running around, including Charlotte, who had received word from George and arrived to help. Kenny smiled at her as she looked up from her sewing machine. "Hiya, Kenny. Heard about your plan," she said. "This is going to be awesome." The boy felt his cheeks go warm and looked down at his feet. "I better check on Graham," he said, and went out to the barn. The dragon was sitting with George viewing the map of the hill by candlelight. The two were engaged in a very animated conversation, and Kenny's tin soldiers, building blocks, and a toy dinosaur were scattered about on the faded scroll.